I was asked this question, how to achieve a mind that is silent. I find this very intriguing because it implies two things. One, that there is something to do in order to get to the silence, which means silence in itself is the destination and there must be a process to achieve it, and it implies time. And there is something that I can do. How to achieve silence means there's something I can do to achieve an end result called silence. Now, the answer of this question lies within the question itself. Silence of the mind needs to be an effortless process. If there is an effort to be made, that's as good as having another goal in life. And whenever we have a goal in life, right, whenever you have an end result in life, it could be to buy a car, buy a house, get married, have kids, whatever it is, make more money. Whenever you have an end goal in mind, what is the process that takes place in the mind? If you observe it, the process that takes place instantly in the mind is the opposite of silence. The thought starts chattering, it goes off, it starts devising plans, schemes, creates problems to solve. All those problems are again solved through more and more analysis and chattering of the mind. So the moment I've made silence an end goal, that's the same process that is likely to take place, isn't it? So it's going to go against silence. Can I be in a state where silence is a natural outcome? And your question probably implies as to how to be in that state. When we are in a state of pure observation, right? Observation, just by observation I mean pure observing without analyzing, without judging, without condemning, without taking sides, without arguments, without conflict, to just observe for what it is, you will come upon silence. And how do you get into that stage? Yeah, you can get into it right now. If you're just observing to what I am saying, and that is a pure act of observing without chattering, which means without analyzing, where did I read this before? Does it tie in with another methodology? Is this something that some guru of mine taught me? Is it against the principle of what my teachers taught? If you're doing all that, you're out of silence. But can you just observe for what is being said? And if you get into that zone of observing without judging, condemnation, perceiving, nothing, just a pure act of observation, which means that the mind stops to chatter because you're not doing any of this, and that is silence. Now, silence can be a moment, silence can be a few minutes, silence can be a few hours. The trouble will come in when you want to prolong this, right? That I have experienced silence for a moment, right? To start with, it's only going to be a moment. It may be a few seconds or half a minute or a minute or two or 10 or 20, whatever your moment will be. You can experience it through pure act of observation, and when I'm just observing, the chatter stops, and that is silence, right? And it can be observing what I'm saying to you. It can be looking out of the window, observing a cloud, a tree, the building, the car. It can be observing anything without a judgment, and you will reach that silence. Now, the trouble is we want to prolong that silence. I experienced it, I liked it. How do I achieve it for the next 2 hours? And this is where the mistake that we make in the way that this question itself was framed. The moment I say, how do I achieve it for the next 2 hours, I've made it a goal and the chattering will start again. I might delude myself into believing that by that process I'm achieving silence, whereas I will not. So I will make it a ritual then, that if I sit quietly for 20 minutes and chant some nice sounding Sanskrit word or some nice sounding Buddhist word, then that is leading me to silence. But that is nothing, just a chatter of thought which is just focused on one word, but it's still not silence. Silence is a pure act of observation of reality, of whatever it is. The reality could be suffering, the reality could be joy, the reality could be happiness, the reality could be beautiful, the reality could be ugly. If I'm not judging all of this and I throw this vocabulary out, then all that I will be left with is silence. And it's really effortless because it's just seeing and not using words to quantify what I'm seeing. I have given a very simplistic answer to a very complicated question, which was how to achieve silence, and you were probably looking for a technique, tool, methodology, and how to sit and meditate in silence and go about achieving that silence. But my friend, that route is absolute opposite of silence, because it will just give you a formula, and that formula itself is not silence. Right? So the only way that comes to my mind and through experience that how do I be in silence is just observe. And as long as I'm just observing, there is absolute silence in the mind. See you again next time.